If you'd like to join into the chat room, the best place to do it is youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. Otherwise, we'll get going right away. If you're in the chat room, that means you're probably delayed about 25 seconds. So go ahead and chat at will. You can also chat on Twitter. You can also chat on Periscope. You can also chat on Twitch if you're watching us there. You don't have to. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy President Trump giving a press conference for the first time from the North Portico. It is unlikely he's going to take any questions, and if he does, he will run away as soon as the questions get difficult, because that is how he do. We're going to hear all sorts of lies about the economy. We're going to see complete fabrications about the coronavirus in Europe. That his radiologist, the guy who scans people's brains with MRIs, his radiologist, Scott Atlas, has been making up this 38% lower than Europe stat that has no bearing in reality whatsoever. Good morning, Stephanie. You're first. Here we go.
Okay, we are going to take you live to D.C. and listen to the president.
Other people, they're very happy with the way things are going.
Adjust the mic needlessly. Always adjust the mic. No reason.
So we
move it up, put it right back
wish
down.
them a very happy Labor Day, and they told us how they're doing. And
this guy has such
really
control issues.
The American worker. We are in the midst of the fastest economic recovery in
Green Room, Marcy.
U.S. history. So we have a lot to be thankful for, including this really beautiful day. So I thought we'd do this outside as opposed to in your more normal place. The United States experienced the smallest contraction of any major Western nation. You probably know that.
That's not true.
You look around and see how we're doing compared to every other nation. And our rise is spectacular. And we're rebounding much more quickly from the pandemic. The U.S. economy added 1.4 million jobs last month. We've added a record-setting 10.6 million jobs since May.
We've lost close to 30 million. 15 million people still on unemployment.
That is not even close. Second place is a long ways away. In July, the Congressional
no one's measuring the other countries because we don't have the same population.
10.5% through the end of 2020. So they thought 2020 and maybe it would be.
Who's they?
A lot longer than that. Some projections where you'd go through the entire
till the end of time. And we'd have the. A lot of people thought that the country would sink into the ocean.
2021.
Al Gore.
Instead, the unemployment rate plunged.
Really,
to the surprise of many, all the way down to 8.4% in August.
13% African American.
Largest single decline on record, and we have the first. We have both.
First.
So we have the two number one declines. Decline meaning positive, not negative. We're currently witnessing the fastest labor market recovery from an economic crisis in history.
That's the third time you said that already.
By contrast, Biden presided over the worst, the weakest, and the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. It was a long, slow slog, and it was a very small
slog.
Very small on growth and very small on every other factor that
you've lost half the jobs that were created under your presidency, Mr. Trump.
My leadership next
year
will
permanently.
Be the greatest economic year in the history of our country, I project. And
you project that, do you?
To agree. We have
Did you project the virus too?
Probably a super V.
And super V. Not a thing, by the way.
Where it's in certain cases already setting records. The NASDAQ has set 17 records.
He vice presided, David.
As we're hopefully rounding the final turn. And the pandemic first will end.
He presided over it in the same way that Trump presided over it.
Speed. We've pioneered groundbreaking therapies, reducing the fatality rate 85% since April. You don't hear that.
It's because we weren't testing enough in April.
Often.
We only tested the very sick in April.
Talk about that. So the fatality rate, 85%. Think of that since April.
Did I call you a filthy whore?
Well, among the lowest case
I think honesty is important,
of any
Allison.
Major country in the world, and we are an absolute leader in every way. Under my leadership,
number one in deaths.
A vaccine in record time, and we are Biden and his very liberal.
We
running
are
mate,
Biden.
Liberal person in Congress, by the way. He's not a competent person, in my opinion.
Oh, you have an opinion on that?
Country and would destroy this economy. Should immediately apologize for the reckless anti-vaccine rhetoric that they are talking right now, talking about endangering lives and it undermines science. And what's happening is all of a sudden you'll have this incredible vaccine, and because of that
Hey,
fake
DOA.
rhetoric, it's a political
Hey,
rhetoric.
Primrose.
That's all it is, just for politics, because now they see we've done an incredible job. And in speed like nobody's ever seen before. This could have taken 2 or 3 years, and instead it's going to be done in a very short period of time. Couldn't
Is
even
it,
have
though? April is what I
during the
heard.
month of October.
When it warms up.
So
It's just gonna-
contrary
like a
to
miracle.
all of the lies, the vaccine, that they're politicalized. They'll say anything, and it's so dangerous for our country what they say. But
You've
the
said we're gonna have a
will be
vaccine by election
very
day.
safe and very effective, and it'll be
He'll deny
delivered
that, by
very
the way.
soon. You could have a very big surprise coming up. I'm sure you'll be very happy, but the people will be happy. The people of the world.
Oh, you're going to
will
lose
be
the
happy.
election?
Next, we'll return to unprecedented
I do have a
prosperity
fat
through our
nose.
pro-American policies. We'll pass new tax cuts to boost take-home pay. We're going to be cutting taxes very substantially. We get it back through growth. We had tremendous growth until we got hit with the China virus. We'll continue our
But that did
historic
happen, right? We did
regulatory
get hit.
reduction campaign. We've, as you know, in 3.5
COVID.
years, we've cut more regulations than any other administration, no matter how long, no matter what period of time you're talking about. We'll
Okay.
enact fair trade deals, and we're working on 7 major fair trade deals right now. And when I say fair, fair to our country, because our country was ripped off by every nation. Friend,
Every
foe,
nation.
didn't matter.
Every nation.
Was
Every
ripping us
nation.
off.
By the way,
Had
July
allowed all
record
that.
trade deficit.
It's just
So there's that.
unbelievable, to be honest.
It is unbelievable.
We're going to be expanding opportunity zones, and we will
Oh, I want to see the
keep
kitty.
that going. It's been a tremendous program. I want to thank Senator Scott, South Carolina, for
Doctor, good to see you.
coming up with that whole concept, because he came up and I liked it right away, and it's really turned out to be a tremendous thing, especially for African Americans, Hispanic Americans. We'll
What?
continue to unleash American energy. We're #1 in the world, and we're totally energy independent right now.
We are not.
In
We are
2021,
not
we'll
energy
create 10
independent
million jobs
at
least
all.
in the first 10 months.
That's nonsense.
Joe Biden, the radical socialist Democrats,
Uh-huh.
would immediately collapse the economy. If they got in, they would collapse it. You'll have a crash
They would
the
just-
likes of which you've never seen before.
They
Your
would just
stocks,
collapse it.
Your 401ks. Remember,
Yay, we won.
there's people
Okay,
that own these
collapse the economy.
massive listed companies. A lot of people, rich people, not
Yeah.
so rich people, and
Yeah.
middle-income people, and those stocks will crash like you've never seen before.
I
The
thought he was
Biden
going to
plan
kill
begins
everyone,
with
too.
a
No one will
$4
be spared.
trillion tax hike.
Terminate everyone.
And that will end everything, including growth. There won't be growth, there'll be total contraction. Biden's also pledged to demolish
Oh, like the
US
manufacturing under you.
energy
Contraction.
industry and implement the same policies causing blackouts in California. He wants to have things lit up with wind. He'll have to talk to China, Russia,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
India, and lots of other countries, because they're not doing that. And if they're not doing it, it puts us at a tremendous economic disadvantage, and it doesn't work. You take a look at the blackouts in California, it's really rather amazing what's going on there. They've tried to
Yeah.
go, that's just with a small
You lose
portion.
power for a few minutes.
Going
When it's
that
113
route. Doesn't
degrees
work, and it
outside.
can't fire up our big plants. We're gonna have
Near
this
us in
great
Woodland
industry that
Hills,
we've created. Can't fire up our
120
big
degrees
plants.
yesterday. 121.
Biden's plan
New
for
record.
the China virus is to shut down the entire U.S. economy. He's going to totally rely on somebody to walk up. Yes, sir, it's time to shut it down. He'd be
Well,
laying
that's a
off tens of
scientist.
millions of workers and causing countless deaths from suicide, substance abuse, depression, heart disease, and other very
No,
serious
we can
illnesses.
count those
Because when
deaths.
you do a
They keep
shutdown,
track of suicides.
there's a problem on the other side. It's not just from the virus. You have a big problem with suicides, with losing your jobs, with
Far,
all sorts
far
of things.
fewer.
You
people
just
lost.
Take a look. Depression is a massive problem. And
Yes, depression is.
what happens
But
is they
if
turn
we
to
have that
substance abuse,
very incredible
alcohol,
health care that
drugs.
you promised at the end of August,
So we can't
it's
do
still
that.
August,
And then
right?
we
What
have
is
to
it,
give
the
up all
28th?
the gains that I've been talking
Anyone?
about over the last 3 months. What we have done is incredible. We're setting records all over the world. No matter where you go, nobody has done what we've been able to do.
That's complete
So
nonsense.
we're setting records in jobs. We're setting records in numbers, and you're going to see some very big
Records in
numbers.
numbers. Hey, guys, we're
Numbers
setting
coming out
records in
right
numbers.
before
So,
a very special day, November
kudos to
3rd.
you, USA.
So you have the numbers coming out.
Can't spell kudos without
They're,
USA.
I think going to be fantastic.
Thank you.
I think they're going to be fantastic. The best numbers of all, if somebody doesn't come along and
You can't
raise
spell
taxes,
kudos
double,
without
triple,
USO.
quadruple your taxes. will be the numbers from next year, but you're going to have a good third quarter number coming out.
Right before the election.
I think it's going to be hard for even the media to disparage that number. Biden
Oh,
wants to
no, it
surrender
won't.
our country to the virus. He wants to surrender our families to the violent left-wing mob, and he wants to surrender our jobs to China, our jobs and our economic well-being. I've taken in billions and billions of dollars from China. No other president's done what
Nope.
I've done.
China hasn't paid
I've
any of the
given
tariffs.
much of it
It's
to
not the way it
farmers.
works.
I've given it to farmers, manufacturers, but I've given most of it to the U.S. Treasury. Nobody's done that. We haven't taken in 10 cents from China ever. They targeted our farmers,
haven't.
and I targeted them. And I gave $28 billion to our farmers. Our farmers
We
wouldn't
are
be
farmers.
existent right
Bum,
now. Right
bum,
now, they're
bum,
very
bum, bum,
happy.
bum.
In fact, they're setting records.
Farmers,
on
record
purchases.
bankruptcy,
China's
correct.
purchasing
Record
more
debt
corn
for
than
the
they've
farmers,
ever done.
correct.
Purchase
Record
of corn,
suicides with the
soybeans,
farmers,
beef,
correct.
because
Correct.
they know I'm not happy with them. They know I'm not happy at all. And frankly, I don't want to set the world necessarily
On fire.
to thinking too much about it right now, but there's been no country anywhere at any time that's ripped us off like China has. We lose billions and billions of dollars for years.
Record trade
and
deficit
years,
in July.
decades. We've lost billions and billions and
Well,
billions of dollars.
we give them
by
money and they give us
dealing with
things.
China. We get nothing from
That's
China.
how
They get nothing other than loss.
Basic economics
Other than giving
works.
our money, and they take that money and they build their military, and you see they're building up a powerful military.
And they build more
And
things,
it's
and then
very
we get
lucky
those
that I've been building
things.
ours up, because otherwise we'd be dwarfed right now by China. It would be a terrible thing. Terrible thing. We're way ahead on the nuclear front. We've upgraded our nuclear. Hope to God we never have to use it. But we would be in a position that we are not in right now. But China's spending the money we give them to build up their military. So when you mention the word decouple, it's an interesting word.
Isn't
So we
it?
lose billions of dollars, and if we didn't do business with them, we wouldn't lose billions of dollars. It's called decoupling.
We
So you'll
lose
start
billions
thinking
of
about it.
dollars.
You'll
We
start
don't make
thinking.
dolls
Take
anymore.
our
All the
money and
toys
spend
come
it
from
on building
China.
airplanes and building ships and building rockets and missiles. And Biden has been just a pawn for them. He's been so easy. They dream about Biden. There was a report today that they hope that Joe Biden becomes president. If Joe Biden becomes president, China will own the United States. And every
Everyone
other
does but
country will be
Russia.
Smiling also. They'll be smiling. When
This is a
reports
really
come
great
out
press
that
conference.
certain countries don't really like me too much, that's not because of my personality, although it could be that also, frankly. It's because of the fact that I've been very tough on countries that have been ripping us off for so many years. If you look at NATO, with the exception of 8 countries, we're
NATO's
one
been
of them.
ripping us off.
Every country is way behind. They're delinquent,
Yeah.
especially Germany,
Made in China.
in paying their NATO bills. That means we end up paying it, and we're not doing it. I told them, we're not doing it. And they've increased their spending now, $130 billion, going up to $400 billion a year. It's all because of me. Then you hear the country doesn't like me. I mean, I can understand that. Because President Obama and other presidents, in all fairness, would go in there and they'd make a speech and they'd leave. I went in there, I looked, and I said, this is unfair. We're paying for NATO. We're paying for NATO.
We've always
Almost
paid
all
for
of them.
NATO.
So they rip us off on the military, and then they rip us off with the European Union on trade. And Biden doesn't have a clue. You know he doesn't have a clue. Everybody knows he doesn't have a clue.
What about the basement?
In prime time, he wasn't good. And now, it's not prime time. He spent
Okay.
47 years sending American jobs to China, to Mexico, and to other countries while
That
collecting
that would be
millions of
American
dollars
corporations.
in
American
campaign
corporations did
super
that.
PAC contributions from global corporations that got rich by making American workers poor. His son, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? I call him Where's Hunter.
We're going back to that now?
Walked away with $1.5 billion to manage, even though he
Uh,
never did that
I
before.
can change his colors,
He
but
walked
I don't
away
have
with a
I don't have
fortune from
Snapchat
Ukraine,
filters for
from
him.
China and from other countries. Between his son and his brother, you ought to read the statements, and the press doesn't pick that up. If I ever did that, it would be hell.
I don't know that he realizes he has multiple channels, including Fox News that we're watching right now, that are on his side. They will print this stuff. OAN just does nothing but Hunter Biden specials. Giuliani is the regular anchor on that show, 24/7.
Even worse than it's been. Okay? Even worse than it's
The most popular radio shows in the United States, all conservative. From Rush Limbaugh all down. If you go through middle America, all of AM radio is country music and right-wing radio. Talk.
been. What he's done is so
I'm exaggerating, not every single station, but you know what I'm saying.
incredible. I won't give them the $1 billion, he says. I won't give them unless they get rid of that prosecutor.
Yep,
And
that was
then,
his
voila,
job.
They got rid of the prosecutor.
Yeah, that
And
he
the
negotiated. Sleepy Joe, who wouldn't come out of the basement, who has no idea what's going on, who doesn't even know that he's alive, he enforced President Obama's orders, the Senate's orders, the IMF wishes, all of our allies wanted that prosecutor out, and Joe Biden got it done. That's an accomplishment. Joe Biden didn't walk in there and say, well, I need you to do us a favor, though, if you want those defensive missiles. By the way, those missiles are still missiles. Never mind. Moving on.
You want to talk about it. You talk about quid pro quo. With me, there was none. With him, he's right on tape, and you don't want to cover it. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
He's
The press
right on
should be
tape.
ashamed of themselves.
Okay, so
Biden
this is just a press
shipped
shaming.
away our jobs, threw open our borders, and sent our youth to fight in these crazy, endless wars. And it's one of the reasons the military, I'm not saying the military is in love with me, the soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that
So
all
now the
of those
Pentagon's
wonderful
against him.
companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make
Uh-huh.
everything else stay happy. But we're getting out of the endless wars. You know how we're doing. We defeated 100% of the ISIS
Caliphate.
caliphate. 100%. When I came in, it was a mess. It was all over. They have it in a certain color, all ISIS.
Now, this is
year
his
later-
greatest hits.
I said, where is it? It's all gone, sir. Because of you, it's all gone.
That's what
Because
he.
of my philosophy.
Where it? Because
It's
he.
all gone.
What happened to the
And
color
so
on my
let's
map?
bring our soldiers back home. Some people don't like to come home. Some people like to continue to spend money. One cold-hearted globalist betrayal after another, that's what it was.
Globalist.
Biden supported NAFTA. He supported China's entry into the World Trade Organization. Two
Yep.
disasters. The most disastrous trade deals in history. Both of them.
Nope. Nope.
I can't tell you which was worse. They were both terrible. And as you know, I ended it, and I ended NAFTA. And we're looking at the World Trade Organization. They've become much better, I will say that.
So
World
then
Health
that's
got
good,
out,
right?
Because we're spending $500 million. China was spending $38 million, and China controlled it. But World Trade, we're looking at it. They've been very nice to us.
Did he
lately.
actually say World Health? Hold on.
In history, both of them.
Yeah. See, anytime he says WTO, he also has to talk about the WHO because, they both got the W's and the O's.
I can't tell you which was worse. They were both terrible. And as you know, I ended it, and I ended NAFTA. And we're looking at the World Trade Organization. They've become much better, I will say that. World Health, I got out of because we're spending $500 million. China was spending $38 million, and China controlled it. But
And also won't join the global cooperative agreement to find a vaccine either. Won't be, no, we're not doing it.
World Trade, we're looking at
Save billions of lives. Nope, not interested.
it. They've been very nice to us lately, I will say that. Amazingly. We never used to win anything at the World Trade. We'd lose every case. Now all of a sudden we're winning a lot of
We were 19-2 the last time I checked under previous to Trump.
cases. We just won $7 billion as a case. And they're talking to us much differently than they used to. Because if
Really? Because we used to win almost
they
always.
don't shape up, we're going to ship out, that's all. We're not treated fairly. China is treated as a developing nation. Developing nation. We're treated as a nation that's fully developed. We're not fully developed as far as I'm concerned. When you look around at Portland and you see what these Democrats are doing to our cities, take a look at what's happening in New York.
We Trump on USA. We are not fully developed. Yeah, I can.
In Chicago, we have Democrat-run cities, mayors that are running and governors that are
I don't
running
know if he's
states
going to
so
take any
badly,
questions after this.
mayors running cities so badly. It's very sad to
Yeah.
look at it. It's Democrat run. Every
See
one
if
of them,
anyone else
I
is
see.
covering this.
I guess we can
MSNBC is not. CNN is still airing
So
it.
far, I haven't been able to. If you look at Biden, he supported TPP,
Yeah,
Trans-Pacific Partnership,
right.
which would have been a disaster, would have destroyed our automobile business. By the way,
You think so?
Many plants are being
Because
built
Canada
right
and
now,
Mexico
auto
are in
plants
it, and they're
Michigan,
very
just like
happy
I
with it.
said. They're being built in Ohio. They're being built in South Carolina, North Carolina.
Wouldn't have even had to
They're
tear
being
up
built all over
NAFTA.
and expanded at a level that we've never seen before. Because they said to Japan and Germany and others, sorry, you got to come here and build plants, otherwise we're going to have to make it very tough on you with tariffs. And we got out
That's
of the
been happening
horrible
for decades.
Paris Climate Accord that he'll go back into because it sounds wonderful. It's a disaster for this country.
Nope, CNN's still on it.
Basically taken away your wealth, the Paris Climate Accord. And the other countries don't have to adhere to it. China doesn't kick in until 2030. We don't have to do
MSNBC is
anything
covering it
until
now, too.
2030. We had very high standards. We would have had it closed under some scenarios. 25% of our businesses in order to qualify under this ridiculous Paris Climate Accord. Sounds good. It was very bad, very expensive. The New York Times has just published an entire story on Biden's China sellouts, which is amazing for the New York Times. I appreciate that.
Hold up.
In 2001, Biden said the United States welcomes the emergence of a prosperous, integrated China on the global stage because we expect this is going to be a China that plays by the rules. They didn't play by the rules. They didn't play by the rules. The World Trade Organization, one of the reasons it's so bad is that China didn't play by the rules. We did. We did, but their rules were easier because they're considered a developing nation. So they had a much lower standard. But even that, they didn't play by the rules.
You can label yourself a developing nation. We could be a developing nation, as President Trump just claimed that we are.
That's when they became a rocket ship. They were flatlined for years and years and years. Then they
They were not. They were above 10% for
joined
decades.
the World Trade Organization.
And at the time, the thinking was, well, we should bring them in because really they're just going helter-skelter here. We should have them as part of the international community so we have some sort of guardrails on these people. And that's what happened.
And frankly, they cheated. Okay, they cheated. I'll say it. What difference is it? I feel much differently. I feel I've made a great trade deal with China. Great. And they're buying. You know why they're buying? Because they know I'm not happy. That's why they're buying. And I talk about it because today is Labor Day. And it's a good time to talk about when we're being ripped off by countries. But
Is that a
nobody's
good
even
time?
close to China.
That's traditionally. You know, you get together with the family, people come in from out of town, you have a barbecue, and you talk about countries ripping us off. That's how Labor Day.
Biden cheered China's rise as a great power because great powers adhere to international norms in the areas of non-proliferation, human rights, and trade. Well, they didn't. They took advantage of stupid people. Stupid people. And Biden's a stupid person. You know that. You're not going to write it. But you know that. The cost of Biden's economic treachery was 60,000 shuttered American factories, and I hear this morning the real number is probably 70,000. 70,000 shuttered American factories, and he's talking about how wonderful it is with China. No, China's been very bad, on top of which we had the China plague sent to us. And other viruses, nothing near this serious, but the swine. We had other viruses sent in over the years that came from China. I wonder why. If Biden wins, China wins because China will own this
all
country.
win, really.
If Biden wins, China will own this country. And hopefully you're not going to be able to find that out. It's the most important election in our history right
So
now.
do I write my
Most
rent check to
important election in
China?
our
Is
history.
that...
Under my administration, we will make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world, and we'll end our reliance on China.
Under your administration, manufacturing contracted. That was before the virus hit. Then it contracted again, like just pew, fell off the cliff. But yeah, no, we've lost manufacturing power since you came in, sir, because of your stupid tariffs, which China has not paid for.
China once and for all, whether it's decoupling or putting in massive tariffs like I've been doing already.
That's what I just
End
said.
our reliance
Yeah.
on China because we can't rely on China. And I don't want them building a military like they're building right now.
Nobody
They're using
treats
our
their
money to build
opponents
it.
with disrespect like
We'll
this idiot.
manufacture our critical medical supplies in the United States. We'll create Made in America tax credits and bring our jobs back from China to the United States, and we'll impose tariffs on companies that desert America to create jobs in China. And
So again, we're going to impose tariffs on American companies. That's a member of the GOP, kids. A Republican saying we are going to tariff American corporations.
in other countries. If they can't do it here, then let them pay a big tax to build it someplace else and send it into our country. We'll prohibit federal contracts from companies that outsource to China, and we'll hold China accountable for allowing the virus to spread around the world. Now you can understand why China would much rather see Sleepy Joe than Donald Trump. But as long as I'm president, we will never waver in our undying loyalty to the American worker and to our country as a whole. So, happy Labor Day, everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to take questions. Okay.
President, the issue of what happened when you were in France continues to be a story.
You're going to have to take that off, Liz. Just, you can take it off. How many feet are you away?
I'll speak a lot louder.
Well, if you don't take it off, you're very muffled. So if you would take it off, it would be a lot easier.
Wow.
I'll speak a lot louder. Is that better?
It's better, yeah.
Yes!
Some people are having a hard time believing your denial of the Atlantic story because of what you said about John McCain in the past. Do you understand that? And have you asked John
No, I don't
Kelly-
understand
And have you asked John Kelly to refute that story?
No, I don't understand it at all, no, because I've always been
The question was some people, do you understand how people can believe the Atlantic story based, which is where he called suckers and losers and et cetera, and couldn't understand why people join the military because what's in it for them. Can you understand it that because of the things you've said in your past, why a lot of people believe that? And the response is, no, I don't understand it. I don't understand. Take your mask down. Take it. I can't understand anything. I can't understand it. Oh, no, he's still there. Okay, moving on.
on the opposite side of John McCain. John McCain liked wars.
Yeah, someone asked earlier if it was the lighting or if it was just the makeup on the side of his face. Could be both. I don't know. This is the North Portico, so they don't do this here, which is, again, why we can't hear anybody in the audience, because this is not set up for the press. Just about everywhere else on the White House grounds, you could have a press conference. Hell, you could probably have one at the new tennis courts that Melania put in for some reason. You could do it in the Rose Garden.
I will be a better warrior than anybody, but when we fight a war, we're going to win them. And frankly, I was never a fan of John McCain. You know that.
I have predicted that he will start a war if it comes right down to it, that it will be in a war. Is this a foreshadow to that? God, I hope not.
I've always been on the opposite side of John McCain. John McCain liked wars. I will be a better warrior than anybody, but when we fight a war, we're going to win them. And frankly, I was never a fan of John McCain. You know that. It's been very obvious. But I had to approve his entire funeral. I wanted him to get. He deserved a first class. You know, it all was approved by
He doesn't have to approve a funeral. That's nonsense.
me. We sent Air Force One to pick up the casket, a lot of things. But no, I was not a fan of John McCain because he wanted the endless wars. And I didn't. I thought that the way the vets were taken care of, our great vets, was not good, not appropriate.
John McCain wrote the bills to help improve things for the vets, signed and passed by Obama in 2014.
And of course, he took the fake dirty dossier and gave it over to the FBI. So this is not somebody I'm not supposed to say, what
About 70% of it was
a
verifiable.
wonderful guy. So, you know what? I lived with him. He lived with me.
Oh, that's according to Michael Cohen, by the way, who said that 70% of the dossier is accurate. And honestly, Michael Cohen would know more than anybody.
But we had different philosophies. I think my philosophy is right. I think it's turned out to be right. But I wasn't a fan. But I respect people, and I respect a lot of people. That doesn't mean I necessarily have to agree with them. And I didn't agree with
I wasn't a fan, but I respect People.
with him on a lot of things.
I like my people that don't get captured.
The story is a hoax written by a guy who's got a tremendously bad history. The
Second
magazine
rate?
itself, which I don't read, but I hear it's just totally anti-Trump. He's a big Obama person. He's a big Clinton person. And he made up the story. It's a totally made-up story. In fact, I was very happy to
But you did call McCain a loser. You did that on tape, and you tweeted it. And the part about the amputees, actually, I'll show it to you guys, because I went back and I was like, I'm pretty sure he said this about the Special Olympics athletes. Paralympics. It was Paralympics, not just Special Olympics athletes, but Special Olympics. Boy, I don't want to get anything wrong here, but Special Olympics is there are events that happen around the country, around the planet all the time. The Paralympics is for amputees, and God forgive me if I'm getting this wrong. You have your regular Olympics, and then you have the Paralympics, where people who have amputations, some other physical handicap, get to compete, and they usually do it right after the Olympics. And if you ever get the chance to watch sled hockey, it is awesome. That being said, this is how Trump addressed the both Olympic athletes, Olympians, and Paralympians a couple of years back. This is Trump on the steps of the White House talking to the Paralympians.
what happened.
Hold on,
with
I
the
have to change
Paralympics
screens.
was,
Give me a second.
So incredible and so inspiring to me. And I watched. It's a little tough to watch too much, but I watched as much as I could.
So he's talking about the Paralympics here. Let me play it again.
What happened with the Paralympics was so incredible and so inspiring to me. And I watched. It's a little tough to watch too much, but I watched as much as.
The Paralympics are a little tough to watch. So when they say, well, in the parade, he doesn't want the amputees because nobody wants to see that. It makes people feel uneasy. Yeah, he said that about the Paralympians. This is not the Special Olympics, which also you have a lot of, I don't know what the correct term is now. Special needs kids. These are people who have amputations for one reason or another, or were born without certain limbs. And again, if I'm getting this wrong, please feel free to correct me. And I don't mean to call. I don't want to get any of this incorrect. But the Special Olympics, by the way, if you ever get a chance to volunteer for the Special Olympics, do it. It is. I did that one weekend at LMU, Loyola Marymount. That being said, he called Paralympians tough to watch. Tough to watch. So yeah, he probably said that about our amputees.
See, Zach Fuentes came out and said now I think that's number 15. And these are people that were there. That's the 15th person.
Allison, your stepdaughter was in the Special Olympics. God bless her. If I'm getting something about that wrong, if I said something wrong about that, let me know. Because that's not my area of expertise by any stretch of the imagination.
General Kellogg, everybody that was there knew what happened.
General Kelly?
And so I was happy to see that Zach came out and said it's not true. He just came out. And
he said he
it's a
didn't hear
disgrace.
it.
Who would say a thing like that? Only an animal would say a thing like that. There's nobody that has more respect for not only our military, but for people that gave their lives in the military.
What about the ones that got captured?
And I think John Kelly knows that. I think he would know that. I think he knows that from me. But Zach Fuentes, as you know, worked for John.
Yeah, kids with social and mental differences at the Special Olympics. That's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know what the term to use now is.
And I think they both know that. But Zach came out, as you know, today or yesterday, last night, and said very strongly that he didn't hear anything like that.
Marita, I would love to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, but I think there's no more benefit at this point with this guy. It's anytime, no, he meant that the Nazis weren't very fine people, but that only the people who wanted to keep the statue. And then he doubled down 3 days later at a press conference. So
Even John Bolton came out and said that was untrue. Now, what
about
was
Kellogg?
true is that we had the worst weather.
General Kellogg?
I think it was as bad a rain as I've just about ever seen. And it was a fog you literally couldn't see. I walked out. I didn't need somebody to tell me. I walked out. I said, there's no way we can take helicopters in this. I understand helicopters very well. And they said, no, sir, that's been canceled.
Like 2 days ago, he said he wasn't sure about the helicopter. But yeah, no, now he understands helicopters very well.
They would have had to go, Secret Service, I have the whole list. They would have had to go through a very, very busy section during the day of Paris. They would have had to go through the city. The Paris police were asking us, please don't do it, because they're not ready. When you do that, you need a lot of...
Yeah, because all the other leaders went. Macron, who is the president of France, he went, but we couldn't go.
Time. They take days and days and days to prepare for that. I wanted to do it very badly. I was willing to sit in a car for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I didn't care. It didn't matter. And I had nothing else to do. I went there for that. I had nothing else to do. It was ended because of the terrible weather, and nobody was prepared to go through, in terms of Paris, the police, the military, and the Secret Service.
Or in the case of Princess
and they came
Diana.
out very strongly and said, sir, we can't allow you to make this trip. If
Too
I wanted
soon?
to, sir, we can't allow you from a safety standpoint. It was a phony story, just like the dirty dossier, the fake dirty dossier, just like the Russia collusion, just like all of the other phony stories. And there'll
perfect
be
phone
more
call.
phony stories. But I do appreciate Zach coming out. But Zach now is the 15th person that's denied it. Zach now, I think, also talked about the weather
I don't
aspect
think
of
that's
it,
true.
And he's probably the 14th or 15th person.
Oh, now
that
you're just
blamed
making
on
it
the
up.
weather. So that's enough of that. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Christina Bob, One America.
There was bad weather. We know that. That's because we were all making fun of Trump for being scared of rain at the time. But he could have gone there by car. We had representatives go there by car. The president could have done that.
Thank you for holding
Did he say terrible drizzling, Kim? I missed that.
the briefing.
Thank you.
We're seeing judges, most recently in Detroit, limit police ability to use non-lethal force. My first question would be, should the police be allowed to use non-lethal force to quell the violence in their city?
We're talking about where not.
Should the police be allowed to use non-lethal force? I don't recognize her. Is this a new OAN or something?
Lethal force?
Right, so in the riot, most recently.
The riots?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's happened is the
Let's go back to
The
hear that
toughness,
question again.
you-
I want to make sure we get that right.
Non-lethal force. My first question would be, should the police be allowed to use non-lethal force to quell the violence in their city?
we're talking about
Should the police be allowed to use non-lethal force?
where non-lethal force?
Right, so in the riot, most recently.
The riots?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's happened is the toughness. These are Democrat-run cities all, and there's no retribution. They stand there, they throw things at the people that are supposed to be protecting something, and nothing happens.
soup?
They throw rocks, they throw cans of soup.
Yeah,
They
there it
throw
is.
lots of hard objects, and rarely does anything happen. But I've told, when we have the federal in there, as you know, I told the U.S. Marshals to go
The
get
federal?
the man who killed another man,
Yeah.
and they know who it was, and
Yep.
you have to arrest him. You have to arrest him. After 2.5 days, they didn't arrest him. The U.S. Marshals went in.
Well, no, they didn't know where he was. He left the state. He went up to Lacey, which is up by Olympia, Washington, closer to Seattle, about 2.5 hours away.
And it ended up being a gunfight, and the man was killed. But this is a man that had a bad record, and there's a man that killed a man in the street. I mean, I witnessed it. Most people witnessed it. And the U.S. Marshals went in. They weren't playing games.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Whoever said that. DS? Yeah, this is a really frumpy suit today.
They can't play games. If somebody is breaking the law, there's got to be a form of retribution. I watch so often when I watch some of the
Retribution.
the areas that we're
So, not justice, retribution.
talking about. Now we have
And I always talk, I said to Bill Barr, he's my leader of the Department of Retribution. Make sure we get this guy.
Rochester. That's again,
mushroom
Democrat
soup.
governor, Democrat mayor, all
Craddock.
Democrats, every one of them. And it
Yeah.
always will be. I was with the governor of Texas. He looked at me and said, I can't imagine how they allowed this to happen. And,
Abbott.
it's different. It's different. I could talk about other governors saying the same thing. Yeah, please, go ahead.
I could follow up on that. We're also hearing reports of groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter traveling around the country, leaving their home cities to go riot and protest in other cities where they're causing damage. Do we expect to see prosecution and charges in the Department of Justice for those traveling to that purpose?
So we have now.
So the question is something about we're getting reports of Black Lives Matter members traveling out of their state or going to other cities to participate in riots or protests. She said riots or protests. So yeah, she's got to be Breitbart or OAN or something. But yeah, people sometimes leave their cities to go to other cities to participate in protests. That is a thing. That has always happened. Does nobody remember the March on Washington?
Over 1,000 people, federal, in jail. We're prosecuting many people. A big thing was when I signed the law putting people in jail if you knock down monuments. That was 3 months.
That's not a law. He did not sign a law. The law already existed. It was an executive order. Just, I guess, mentioning the law?
Months ago. There hasn't been a federal monument knocked down in 3 months or even thought about. I don't think they've even thought about it.
Even thought about it, right?
So that's had a very big impact.
He's able to read the mind of all the protesters.
Very big impact. But yeah, we're going around, and the nice part is you people see those people up there, they take nice pictures of everybody, so we don't even have to bother. We can use the news photos. We had a photo right over there of Andrew Jackson, the monument. He was getting ready, and this guy was a big, brave guy, and he was up like this, and he was showing off to all his friends, and he got arrested. So did a lot of other people get arrested. And I would say we have the ultimate proof. Now, in that case, we got there before they ripped down the statue of Andrew Jackson, which is so beautiful, which is right over there. But they never got it. But right after that, I signed an order saying you go to prison for 10 years. And as soon as I signed that order, that was the end of the statues coming down. But they have other ideas. They've got plenty of ideas. They're not at want for ideas. Please, go ahead.
Mr. Spun, David Spun from Fox News.
Look at President Hemingway here. They are not at want for lack of ideas.
Mr. Trump, Mr. President, thank you for taking my question. Sir, you talked a lot about the economy.
They have not want.
3 weeks ago in Bedminster, I asked
Their ideas are not found for lack of wanting.
you specifically why you have not called Democratic leadership to the White House to meet with them. If they don't want to meet, it's on them. A lot of people are criticizing you.
Who is this? I don't know this guy either. Is it because of the mask? Do we know this guy? Because he got a series of specifically hand-picked journalists to talk to? Yeah, this guy's asking, I think you guys can hear him, but how come you're not inviting the Democrats in to negotiate and it's on them if you do that? That's actually a valid question. And why aren't the Democrats out there screaming that they've already passed the HEROES Act? It's a good question.
I don't think they have.
Why have you not met with them in person? I mean, we're in September. There's no deal. There's no hope of a deal. We're 2 months out from the election.
Don't say there's no hope. Why do you say there's no hope? What do you know?
What can you say?
What do you know?
It doesn't seem like.
And let me just tell you, I know my customers. That's what I do. I know Pelosi. I know Schumer very well. They don't want to make a deal because they think it's good for politics if they don't make a deal. This has nothing to do with.
Who are the customers? Are we the customers? He just call us customers?
What do you know?
What can you say?
What do you know?
It doesn't seem like.
And let me just tell you, I know my customers. That's what I do. I know Pelosi. I know Schumer very well. They don't want to make a deal because they think it's good for politics if they don't make a deal. This has nothing to do with anything other than you have to know who you're dealing with. I do. These are people that I don't have a lot of respect.
Who's the
I don't
customer?
think they have a lot of respect for the American people.
Is Pelosi a customer? Is this part of the sting operation again with the mask and the hair? What? Hello, Nancy. Yes, I just would like to have you come in and do just a blowout. We're at the White House. We got these great hair things, and you don't even have to wear a mask. Come on by. So I hope to see you soon. I think she fell for it.
And I know who I'm dealing with. And I don't need to meet with them to be turned down. They don't want to make a deal because they know that's good for the economy. And if they make a deal, that's good for the economy, and therefore it's good for me for the election in November 3rd. And therefore, they're not going to make a deal. Now, if we
want a
gave the store
refund.
away, if we bailed out all of their
Yeah.
Democrat-run cities, where we give them $1 trillion, which is the kind of money they want $1 trillion to bail out badly run Democrat cities and states.
It's for all. There's no differentiation but in the money. It's for police officers. He's literally defunding the police by not letting the HEROES Act go through. It's for emergency workers. It's for hospitals that have declared bankruptcy so they can still qualify for the PPP. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. Red, blue, yellow states. It doesn't matter.
Whether it's New York or Illinois or others, they want to bail them out. And we're saying,
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit confused, Ken, because he just called the American people customers.
well, we're not going to pay that kind of a price in order to bail the cities. We'll do something to help cities, but that's going to have to rest on its own. And why didn't you do this at the beginning? Because they could have done it at the beginning. So I
They did in May 12th.
know who I'm dealing with. And I'm on the phone with Mnuchin and with Meadows and with all of these people constantly, while they're there. But I also know when it's time to meet with people. I've done very well with
Yeah, for those of you in the industry, you can see on the one side here, he's got the mat of hair over his ear. On the other side, it's completely above his ear. Somebody didn't do last looks on this guy.
deals, okay? That's what I do. And I know when it's time to meet. But I don't have to meet them in order to be turned down and in order for them to walk out to the sticks, which is the microphones, and give you people a false report of what just took place in the...
Explaining to the media that they call the microphones the sticks. That's actually not correct. You also call tripods sticks. So, all right, here. These are the sticks, okay? So yeah, some people call the microphone sticks too, but anything with legs on it like that, sticks. I was on a hockey team where my nickname was Tripod. Just saying.
Oval Office. So they don't want to make a deal because they think that if the country does as badly as possible, even though a lot of people are being hurt, that's good for the Democrats. But David, that's a bad thing. Yeah, please go
But
ahead.
as president, shouldn't you take the high road, sir?
I am taking the high road. I'm taking the high road by not seeing them. That's the high road. Yeah.
Mr. President,
And if I thought it made a difference or would make a difference, I'd do it in a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
David Jackson, USA Today. My question
Taking the high road by not seeing them. That's it's just he has no. Is he high?
is about the Durham report, which you have talked about recently. So let's see what happens. Now, you've accused people of committing crimes against you during the Russian investigation.
Yeah,
President
sure.
Obama-
They spied on my campaign, that's right.
My question-
They spied on my campaign, and if they were Democrats, they would have been in jail 2 years ago. They would have been in jail.
They were Democrats. Did he just say if they were Democrats?
recently. So let's see what happens. Now, you've accused people of committing crimes against you during the Russian investigation.
Yeah,
President
sure.
Obama-
They spied on my campaign, that's right.
My question-
They spied on my campaign, and if they were Democrats, they would have been in jail 2 years ago.
They
would have
were-
been in jail.
Actually, no. If he's talking about Comey's a lifelong Republican. Brennan, lifelong Republican. What's his face? Mueller, lifelong Republican. But in terms of spying on the campaign, if he's talking about Biden and Obama, they are, in fact, Democrats.
Literally, if this side were the Democrat side, they would have been in jail 2 years ago for 50-year terms for treason and other things.
Excuse me, my question is, do you want the Justice Department to indict people over this?
I'm not going to say that. I have to see the report. I haven't seen it. I don't know if that was a good thing, smart thing, I don't know. But nobody can complain about it. I have every right to have been very much involved. And maybe someday I'll get involved in it. They spied on my campaign, and that includes Biden and Obama. They
Okay.
spied on my campaign trying to
So both Democrats.
defeat me. They wrote up a fake dossier that has proven to be totally
The Biden and Obama did not write up the dossier.
fake, written by Christopher Steele, paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats.
Uh-huh.
And they used that illegally in the FISA courts. If we did what they did, you would have many people in jail right now. And you have, other than the one agent that admitted his guilt, that he forged documents.
Kevin Kleinsmith, yeah, he did admit guilt. That's the one guy.
We don't have that yet, but the report hasn't been issued yet. Let's see what happens.
Sounds like
But let
you
me
wanna
just
prosecute
say something. President Obama and Biden,
Bobby
Sleepy
Three
Joe,
Sticks.
he knew everything that was happening. They were spying on my campaign and they got caught. Now let's see what happens. But if this were the opposite way, people would have been jailed. They would have been in jail already for a period of at least, it would have started 2 years ago, and it would have been for 50 years for treason. Because you can't do that. That's never, and nothing like that's
Because Republicans are really, really good at getting caught? Is that what he's saying?
ever happened before.
I mean, look at his entire administration. Manafort, General Flynn, Papadopoulos, Cohen, it just keeps going.
Then they created, at tremendous expense, the money they paid is tremendous. I'm sure you know the money that was paid, millions of dollars. They created a fake dossier.
No.
A fake dossier, proven
It-
to be
it was-
now fake.
wasn't millions of dollars.
And they used it in the FISA courts. That's a crime.
Right.
So
Kevin
far,
Kleinsmith
I haven't seen
admitted guilt.
anybody have a problem, but the report hasn't been issued
Well, he admitted guilt. He's going to get sentenced.
yet. Let's see what happens with the Durham report. But this started.
By the way, Bill Barr, of the many things he said the other day, most of which were completely ridiculous, he did say that it's not treason because you have to be aiding and abetting an enemy. That's the constitutional definition, one of the few crimes that's actually, I think it's the only crime that's codified in the Constitution. I could be right.
Obama. And some people would say, and some people, well, but he was the president, like, let's leave him alone. If it were me, they wouldn't be leaving me alone, I can tell you. It's a totally
Literally leaving you alone right now. You're an unindicted co-conspirator, individual dumb.
double standard, and it's a disgrace. And if I were a Republican senator, and if I were a Republican congressman, and we have some great ones, but we have a lot of them that don't fight the way that the other side fights. We have much better policy. We have much better things going for us, like borders and walls and immigration.
It's all the same
and no
thing.
sanctuary cities, and they have a lot of bad stuff going.
Still,
But
all
they're
the same
dirty
thing.
fighters. And the
Just one
dirtiest fight
policy.
of all is the issuance of 80 million ballots. Unrequested. They're not requested. They're just sending 80 million ballots all over the country.
The worst thing the Democrats do? Democracy!
80 million ballots, non-requested. I call them unsolicited ballots. That's going to be the dirtiest fight of all. People are going to get ballots. They're going to say, what am I doing? And then they're going to harvest. They're going to do all the things. And if you look at the last period of 6 months, take a look at the races where they've sent ballots out. Take a look at Carolyn Maloney, whose race should be redone because she won that race totally unfairly.
That's what we're going to have, by the way. After he loses the election, it's going to be 3 months of this. We should redo the election, and that's all Twitter's going to be. And Parler, don't even get me started on Parler. No, literally, don't get me started on Parler. I have no interest on Parler.
To her opponent. Her opponent did very well against her. That race should be rerun. But they declared her the winner because they heard I found out about it. But take a look at what's happened in New Jersey and in Virginia and different places. It's a disgrace.
The election board wasn't going to have a winner. And then they're like, wait, President Trump's talking about it? And then so like a week later, they're like, oh, we should have a winner. That's how the world works in his...
Thank you, Mr. President. If proven true, are you okay with Postmaster General DeJoy and the fact that he asked former employees at his private company to make donations to the GOP and then reimburse them? Are you okay with that?
I don't know too much about it. I read something this morning, but I don't. Other than that,
He's an expert on helicopters, but he's not going to read straw man accusations against his own Postmaster General. But yeah, no, helicopters, he knows a lot about the helicopters.
I'd have to see it. He's a very respected man. He was approved very much by both parties, I guess. It was sort of an approval that took place by both parties. I don't know exactly what the story is. I'll certainly know within a short period of time. I just read it for the first time. I read it this morning, just like you did.
You support an investigation, sir?
Sure.
And
I think let the investigations go, but he's a very respected man. Again, it was a bipartisan commission. Postmaster General is appointed by a bipartisan commission, and we'll see how that goes. But no, I think he's a very honest guy, but we'll see. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Go ahead,
follow up, please, if you don't mind. If it's proven to be a campaign finance scheme, do you think he should lose his job?
Yeah, if something can be proven that he did something wrong, always.
Thank you.
Always. They've been looking at me for 4 years. They found nothing. 4 years. Think of it. For 4 years, from the day I came down the escalator, I've been under investigation by sleaze, and they found nothing. They found nothing. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most innocent, honorable man ever to hold the office of president. Think of it. They spent just Mueller alone. He spent...
By the way, Trump was impeached. Don't know if anyone remembers that.
I guess the real number turned out to be $48 million, but whatever it was, many, many millions of dollars. They had 18 angry Democrats looking. They had FBI agents all over the place. They had and they have no collusion. Friends of mine have said, sophisticated friends have said, you've got to be the most innocent guy ever to hold this office. And there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. After Navalny poisoning, Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany is under pressure to cancel Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia to Germany. Would you support such a move? Do you think the project should be canceled?
Sure. Well, I've been supportive of that. I was the first one that brought it up. You never heard of Nord Stream 2 until Trump came along. When I came along, I said, wait a minute. We're protecting Germany from Russia, right? NATO. We're protecting Germany from Russia. Germany's paying Russia billions and billions of dollars to get their energy, and the real number is probably 60 to 70% ultimately of their energy is going to come from Russia. And I said this for years, that nobody talks about it. One of the many things between sanctions and all of what we've done for Ukraine relative to what the past had. They used to send pillows and we sent tank busters. But I brought that up a long time ago. Russia's unhappy that I brought it up. But you never heard of Nord Stream.
Yeah, so I wanted to double check something. I was like, I don't think that the Postmaster General gets approved by the Senate anymore. I think they stopped that way, way long ago. And yeah, they did. It's the Board of Governors of the U.S. Postal Service. So Trump puts them in there and the Board of Governors approve. There's no Senate approval from both parties. Highly respected nonsense. If I'm incorrect, let me know. But I was just looking it up and it's not a thing. That's not how it works.
Nobody did until I got elected. And I said, why is Germany making a deal to give billions of dollars to Russia and then we're protecting Germany from Russia? How does that work? And then on top of it, Germany is delinquent because they're only paying a little more than 1% and they're supposed to be paying 2%, and even the 2% is low. But just remember, Trump, me, I got
just remember Trump, me
of NATO to spend 130 billion going to $400 billion a year. Think of it, $400 billion a year more for NATO. And the purpose of NATO primarily is Europe protection against Russia. Now they can use it for other, I guess.
And us, again, the only countries that's ever invoked Section or Article 5 of NATO, where all of the countries come to the aid of the one country. Only country to ever do that, United States, after 9/11. But apparently 9/11, we forget.
And they have a little bit in the Middle East, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm the one that did that. So
Trump,
nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about Nord Stream 2. The answer is absolutely if they feel that something happens. But I don't know that Germany's in a position right now, because Germany's in a very weakened position energy-wise. They're closing all their plants. They're closing their nuclear. They're closing their coal. They're closing a lot of plants. And they have put themselves in a very bad position, frankly. Very, very bad position. Yeah, please.
Can I follow up on Jeff Mason's question? Have you asked John Kelly to publicly refute the Atlantic? And then can I ask him?
Have you asked John Kelly to publicly refute the Atlantic?
No. I have nothing against John. I have nothing against anybody. No. I was very heartened to see that.
There's nothing against anybody.
A friend of his, because I know Zach is a friend of his and worked for him, I was very heartened to see that Zach Fuentes came out with the statement that he did, I guess, late last night, that it was not true.
Another question. Mr. President, what exactly is un-American about federal government training programs that are aimed at improving inclusivity?
Well, we're going to do a report. Yeah, I fired those people. They're all gone. And it was a disgrace, frankly.
There was some sort of sensitivity training program in the government, and Trump got rid of it because, racism. So He fired
And
everyone,
we're going to give you
apparently.
a big report that's going to make you very happy. All right, yeah.
I was going to give us a big report in 2 weeks, or a very short period of time, or the end of the month, or after the election. If we win the House and the Senate and the presidency, we'll give you it'll be a full report. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. You're gonna be so blown away by this report.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Darlene Superville, AP. You said a moment ago, they'll say anything. You were talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their comments about the vaccine. You have a
No, they say worse. They say negative. They say negative. They're going to make the vaccine into a negative so that when we have it, and I spoke to the head of Pfizer, I spoke to the head of Johnson & Johnson, I spoke to the head of the greatest medical companies in the world. We're doing great. We're going to have it soon. Wait a minute. So now what they're saying is, oh, wow, this is bad news. President Trump is getting this vaccine in record time. By the way, if this were the Obama administration, you wouldn't have that vaccine for 3 years, and you probably wouldn't have it at all. So we're going to have a vaccine very soon, maybe even before a very special date. You know what date I'm talking about. But let me just tell you.
Election day.
And what they're doing, because they think it is going fast, and if you talk to a lot of your sources, if you have sources, if you talk to your sources in the FDA, you'll see it's going very, very well. The numbers are looking unbelievably strong, unbelievably good. So now they're saying, wow, Trump's pulled this off. Okay, let's disparage.
Todd, that is a very special day. Todd's birthday. So we should have a vaccine by Todd's birthday, everybody. Todd is President Trump's mystery friend. So I didn't mean to out you, Todd, but I just thought everyone should know. So everybody, if you want to get a message to Trump, just ask Todd.
The vaccine. That's so bad for this country. That's so bad for the world to even say that. And that's what they're saying it. But I watched
That's what they're saying it?
Poll numbers drop from 15 to almost 0 and then drop out even before she ran in Iowa because people didn't like her. And I understand why. She will never be president, although I have to be careful because Obama used to say that about me, so I have to be a little bit careful.
Right,
but you have to look at her a little bit more closely because obviously Joe's not doing too well. So you're going to have to look at her a little bit too closely. But she's talking about disparaging a vaccine so that people don't think the achievement was a great achievement. I don't want the achievement for myself. I want something that's going to make people better, that people aren't going to get sick with. That includes therapeutics, where we're doing equally as well. Therapeutics. Go ahead.
Your point is that what they're saying is that they're saying it for political purposes.
Yes.
You have asserted repeatedly that a vaccine will be on the market before the election.
No, I didn't say they will. I said by the end of the year. No, but you're not quoting me accurately. I said.
There, he's doing it already. He's denying that he said the election. He's denying it. But we all know that it's actually Todd's birthday. October 15th, everybody. We're getting that vaccine by October 15th. Yes, October 15th.
That vaccines will be on the market before the end of the year. But they may even be on the market. They may even be developed and fully developed, tested, everything else. You know, we have 30,000 people in just one vaccine right now under test in very, very highly infected areas.
That's the set standard. Yes, that's all the vaccine. But, okay.
So we're going to be able to get a good result.
He's bragging about having 30,000 people in an A/B test. That's what you do. That's that.
One way or the other very soon. So I didn't say what you said. What I said is by the end of the year, but I think it could even be sooner than that. It could be during
October
the month
15th.
of October, actually.
Todd's birthday.
Could be before November.
You're also saying that for political reasons.
No, I'm saying that because we want to save a lot of lives. With me, it's the faster the better.
That's what she said. I mean, that's what Stormy said. I mean, I don't, yeah.
Somebody else, maybe they would
That's what Mike Pence said. No.
say it politically, but I'm saying it in terms of this is what we need. We have to have, if we get the vaccine early, that's a great thing, whether it's politics or not. Now, do benefits inure?
No, specifically, if it's politics, very, very bad. Not whether it's politics or not.
If you're able to get something years ahead of schedule, I guess maybe they do. But the most important thing to me is saving lives. It's the most important thing. Yeah, go ahead in the back.
So that's why we're opening up the country. Get back to school, kids.
Hi.
just based on some of your recent tweets, sir, do you...
You sound so clear, as opposed to everybody else, where they refuse.
Your tweets about the 1619 project, why do you object to that being taught in schools? And do you object to slavery itself being taught in schools?
Yeah, so no, I want everybody to know everything they can about our history. I'm not a believer in cancel culture, the good or the bad. If you don't study the bad, it could happen again. So
he tweeted out about the 1619 project being taught in schools and threatened to cut off the funding to schools. But he hates cancel culture.
I do want that subject studied very, very carefully and very accurately. But we grew up with certain history, and now they're trying to change our history, revisionist history. That's why they want to take down our monuments. That's why they want to take down our statues. I saw something the other day which was absolutely horrendous. Washington Monument, they want to rename it. The D.C. committee, but the D.C. committee is all Democrats. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, we're talking about, this is the big stuff now. This is the big stuff. And they want to rename it. They want to redesignate it. They want to take some down. No, we don't do that. Never going to happen with me, I guarantee you that. Well, I want to thank you all, and I just want to wish you a very happy Labor Day. And we're having tremendous success, whether it's on the vaccines, whether it's on the pandemic, the plague that came in from China, that China should have never let happen, because I will never feel the same about China. And I just want to, again, wish you a happy Labor Day. Thank you very much, everybody.
That's Jim Acosta trying to get a question in. I didn't recognize many of the reporters today, but okay. Some of them asked a couple of good questions.
President Trump wrapping up a Labor Day press conference, about 45 minutes there from the North Portico. A long list of what he calls his accomplishments over the past 4 years, talking a lot about the economy and job growth on this Labor Day. Some grievances about the...
I don't understand why they didn't end with YMCA.
Press and the Biden campaign as well. A couple of headlines as it relates to the economy, saying that the World Trade Organization has become much better, much nicer to the United States. And then
that's a headline?
And also talking about decoupling the U.S. economy from China. That would be the headlines on the red wires from the Associated Press and Reuters. We bring in Roger Fisk, former Obama administration.
Wow. Those are the headlines from AP and Reuters. Nothing about his secret friend. Let's just jump over to the CNN here and see if they kept covering the whole thing. Why not? Let's join them live, and we're going to jump backwards here. Here we go.
Believer in cancer.
Yeah, I think...
No, we don't do that. Never going to happen with me, I guarantee you that. Well, I want to thank you all, and I just want to... Labor Day. Thank you very much, everybody.
Look at that chyron here. Trump will have vaccine very soon, maybe even before a very special date. You know what I'm talking about, Todd. See what CNN's takeaway from this are.
All right, so...
Takeaways.
It's Labor Day, and you just heard from the President of the United States.
Consciously uncoupling. Welcome, Parade X moron. Yes, consciously uncoupling.
Speaking from a location normally reserved for more ceremonial entrances, state dinners. It's a North Portico of the White House there. White House, again, just a reminder to everyone, funded by taxpayer dollars, where you have now the president making a number of disparaging...
Oh, I missed it. Hold on, guys. Sorry. We got to go back here because I'm pretty sure something happened at the end here. And
I just want to, again, wish you a happy Labor Day. Thank you very much, everybody.
Where are you going? All right, so it's Labor Day, and you just heard from the president of disparaging and just untrue statements, including calling former Vice President Joe Biden, quote, stupid, along with a slew of other lies. And by the way, Mr. President, it is Kamala Harris. Gloria Borger, Abby...
Did he call her Kamala? There was just so much today. And again, it's Labor Day, so my brain's taking the day off. But wow, guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you like this sort of thing, Paul, I'm well, thank you, Paul. How are you? Everybody getting ready for Todd's birthday? This is going to be great. We're going to have a big barbecue, vaccines for everybody. It's not going to be a vegan vaccine, unfortunately, because, he doesn't adhere to political correctness. Wow. So, yeah, good night, Green Room. Go to bed. Barb, if you're in here, go to bed. Noel, everybody in Australia, get out there and celebrate Boxing Day, I guess is what's going on in Australia. If you'd like to support this, go to kevinleefather.com, like it says in the crawl. And we can keep doing this. And hopefully we're not going to keep doing the live stream very much longer, because we're going to stop on Todd's special birthday. Yeah, I'm worried things are going to get much, much, much worse before Election Day in terms of a number of different things. But I hope I'm wrong. Here's the thing. I was thinking about this morning. I like peanut butter. Not what I meant to talk about, but I was also thinking about that this morning. Something else, though, was last time, about this time, it was September 11th, 2016, where I called the race for Trump. Remember when Hillary collapsed? And then the Hillary campaign covered it up for 24 hours, and then they came out with it was pneumonia, and it's, because for 24 hours it was exhaustion. It was like, fuck off with the exhaustion. She appeared deceptive to the American people. That's why Hillary lost. Well, it's one of 20 reasons why Hillary lost. But no, she was a great candidate. That's why we have President Hillary. However you feel about it, and everybody was upset by it, and most Americans voted for Hillary, I get all of that. September 11th was about the time that I called it for Hillary. And then a few days before the election, I called it again. And I lost friends on Facebook, etc., because they were just so mad at me. But I call it like I see it. If Trump is losing the military, he's out. The other big thing is Biden was Obama's vice president. The reason that Biden is our candidate is South Carolina, because of the African American support in South Carolina. African Americans overwhelmingly support Obama. And unless Trump has really pulled that many African Americans away from the Democrats, which I just don't see as a reality, they will show up for Biden. And if they show up in the swing states, we got ourselves President Biden. It's not set in stone, but I am far more confident about Biden being president than Hillary. If I had to put a number on it, I wouldn't, because it makes no sense, doesn't matter. But far more. I thought Hillary was going to lose. She did. But with Biden, I think he's going to win. I think Trump's going to lose now. But Biden's a weak candidate. Okay? Because he's in his basement? Biden is not a weak candidate. It's about who can get the votes. And Biden could beat Trump. Again, I'm just telling you how, and it's not even so much as a feeling, it is I look at the stats. I look at math. I know how this works. It's all about voting blocks, etc. I was right in 2016, and I hated being right. And hopefully I'm right again now. But what I really hope I'm wrong about is Trump making things far worse. If someone tells Trump that wartime presidents get reelected, we're going to war. And I hope I'm wrong. But it was, who said that the other? Cohen. Cohen came out and said he will do anything to stay in office. Because remember, once he's out of office, he can get indicted. Right now, he is named as individual one in the SDNY suit, and they can't indict him right now. So if we get somebody in charge of the SDNY, so we'll see what happens, kids. Biden's a white guy, therefore he's a strong candidate. Honestly, though, being a white guy underneath Obama, a mostly or half black guy, is his key to success. Because hopefully, just like in South Carolina, the African American population will show up en masse for Biden. African American females always show up for the Democratic Party. They vote as a block. And these are all generalities. I'm not saying anything about everybody's an individual, et cetera, et cetera. But African-American females, in general, vote in elections at about 96%, and their support for Republicans is an asterisk. It doesn't exist. African-American females, or males, in 2016, for Hillary, not so much. That's how Trump actually got more of the African American male vote than Romney did. And look, the African Americans love me. It went from 4 to 6%. But it was only because some African Americans didn't show up to vote. And there's a number of reasons for that, including the Russians, the propagandas, and Instagram, believe it or not. The last presidential election was probably decided because of Instagram. Okay. Yeah. It's getting hotter and hotter in this room. I'm not even going to check the temperature, but I keep asking what the temperature is. Okay, Google, I will check it. I'm like, what's the temperature outside? It's not telling me. It's given up. Okay, kids, so I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Tax will have to go up after Trump. All right. We'll see what happens. But the Washington Post and PolitiFact both checked out Biden's tax plan, and it really doesn't affect anybody making less than $400,000 a year. And right now, that's me. Unless I finally get those sweet, sweet unemployment benefits back, which I'm not good with math, but that probably puts me above 400,000. All right, kids, have a great day. I still haven't fixed the closing credits. Here they are.
Where are you going?
I'm going to come back to you in a second. I want to just say thank you to everybody. If you want to support me, go to kevinleefather.com. Also, if you're already a patron or you can't afford to be a patron or whatever, it's great. Just share the broadcast. Every time we do this, we get more and more people in here, especially on a holiday. So everybody enjoy your holiday. If you have a day off of work, be good to each other and don't lick anybody. I will try and leave the chat up during the closing credits. Let's see if it works. There it is.
Kevin, is this helpful to Joe Biden?
Wait, what?